Good evening and welcome to St. John's Day. My name is Dan McEwen, class of 1985, and I am the chair of the St. John's University Board of Trustees. On the behalf of the entire St. John's community, I want to thank you for being with us this evening at another St. John's Day celebration. Tonight's gathering is like no other. It's our first virtual St. John's Day. After canceling last year's event because of the COVID pandemic, we are thankful to be together with you tonight. This year we gather for St. John's Day for three important reasons. First, to present the President's Medal of Honor to longtime music professor and chorale director, Dr. Axel Theimer. We are delighted to welcome Axel this evening, along with his friends, students, alums, and many admirers. Second, we gather to recognize and thank our leadership benefactors and volunteers for their generous support and tireless efforts. As we do each year, we recognize our donors in three distinct societies: founders, legacies, and fellows. And lastly, we gather to celebrate the accomplishments, scholarship, and creativity of our students. The theme for tonight's evening is Songs of Life. To put us in a musical spirit, we begin St. John's Day with a recording of the alma mater and the St. John's Fight Song by the men's chorus led by none other than Axel Theimer.
High above the sacred heaven, towering o'er the oak and pine, proudly stands our alma mater, ever let her beacon shine. Alma mater, be loyal, ever love and praise thy name. Hail, hail, St. John's our mother, we thy honor will proclaim. Fight to Johnny's fight to Johnny's, stand and fight like men for old St. John's. Fight to Johnny's fight to Johnny's, you are all Milano's own son. Show the world what else you can do, the fighting Johnny spirit will win through. Make the victory greater for your dear old alma mater and the cardinal and blue. Rah, 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 hoorah, St. John's, rah, 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 hoorah, St. John's. Fight to Johnny's, fight to Johnny's, stand and fight like men for old St. John's. Fight to Johnny's, fight to Johnny's, you are alma mater's own son. Show the world what else you can do, the fighting Johnny spirit will win through, will win through. Make the victory greater for your dear old alma mater and the cardinal and blue.
My deep thanks and appreciation to the men's chorus and to Axel. Sticking with our theme, our next song is a musical tribute to Axel from more than 200 Johnny and Benny chorale alums. The song they selected, I Have Had Singing, is one of Axel's favorites.
Singing, singing, oh, the singing. There was so much singing then. We all
What a splendid, splendid tribute. Thanks to our Johnny and Benny alums. Good evening. I'm Abbot John, and I'm delighted to be with you tonight. Please join me in prayer. It'll be a brief one. Gracious and loving God, in this Easter spring season, at the conclusion of a demanding school year, we are especially mindful of our need for your care and protection. We ask your greatest bounty for our President's Medal awardee, Professor Axel Theimer. Give him joy of heart, good health, and a profound sense of satisfaction for his outstanding achievements and contributions to students, colleagues, and the monastic communities here at St. John's and St. Ben's. Bless all of our generous and dedicated volunteers, alums, and benefactors, without whose steadfast help and devotion we would not flourish. Hold all of us, dear God, in your watchful attention and support. Through Christ, our risen Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Abbot John. It's now my pleasure to introduce Interim President of St. John's University, Dr. Eugene McAllister. Gene came to St. John's about 2 years ago for a temporary assignment. He had previously served as the president of University of Great Falls in Montana. He agreed to relocate to Minnesota for a year to lead St. John's. Fortunately for us, he accepted a second year, which he is now wrapping up. Little did he know when he accepted this assignment that the world in St. John's would be faced with a health pandemic. We are deeply grateful to Gene for his steady hand and dedicated leadership. We wish him well as he returns to Montana to be reunited with his wife Sanford and their triplet sons. Please welcome Gene McAllister.
Thank you, Dan, for that kind introduction. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve as interim president of St. John's University. I'm delighted to be here with you tonight as we honor our volunteers, our benefactors, and one of our own faculty members, Axel Theimer. Recently, a young St. John's alum told a story about his grandfather, who's also a Johnny. He recounted that his grandfather's favorite expression is "keep the faith." It strikes me that this is the perfect mantra to describe the past year at St. John's. Despite the challenges of the COVID pandemic, racial unrest and strife, financial disruption and uncertainty, we have forged ahead with faith and confidence. I would like to mention several highlights of the past year that demonstrate the faith and fortitude of the St. John's community. First, when the pandemic struck a little over a year ago, hundreds of Johnnies stepped forward to establish a student emergency fund to help our students to return to their homes and continue their education online. A few months later, a handful of donors responded to an urgent appeal to support and create a $4 million scholarship fund to ensure that incoming students and returning students facing financial hardship would have the resources necessary to return to St. John's. The imperative scholarship fund worked like a charm. Last September, St. John's was one of only 3 private colleges in Minnesota that had a larger first-year class than the year before. In the fall, we reopened our doors with a revised curriculum and course schedule and a full array of COVID protocols, including social distancing, masks, testing, and when necessary, isolation and quarantine. It was by no means easy, but our students, faculty, and staff rose to the occasion. To be sure, we had our fair share of COVID cases, in fact, more than we could have imagined. But in true Johnny spirit, we managed and persevered. St. John's pulled out all the stops to help our students weather the pandemic storm, including community days, outdoor movies in Clemens Stadium, masses in front of the church and in the football field, and on Lake Sagatagan and multiple skating rinks on campus. It was truly a sight to behold. We also took bold steps to strengthen our commitment to diversity and racial justice, grounded in the Benedictine values of listening and hospitality. This included, among other things, various campus speakers, additional scholarships for students of color, and an alumni magazine devoted to the history of Black and African American students and graduates. And worth noting is that a few weeks ago, our ROTC battalion, the Fighting Saints, placed number 5 in the nation out of 44 institutions at the prestigious annual military skills competition at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, finishing ahead of the U.S. Air Force Academy, the Naval Academy, and Texas A&M. Additionally, a Johnny, Ethan Erickson, received the Tom Surdike Leadership Award for the best squad leader in the country. And our greatest triumph is yet to come, an outdoor in-person commencement ceremony for our students and their guests, scheduled for May 16th. Please pray for good weather. These are some of the more notable accomplishments of our education community this year. I'm deeply proud of the St. John's family, the monks, our students, coaches, and staff who were undaunted and resolute. As my days wind down as president of St. John's, I'd like to offer a few observations from an outside perspective. This is an amazing place, made special by the people who live, teach, and study here. It all begins with the monastic community, an extraordinary group of men of faith. It's also manifest in the faculty, coaches, and staff. But what I find truly amazing is the students and alumni who become Johnnies for life. St. John's graduates are men and women who go on to do great things. They believe in themselves. More importantly, they believe in and care for others. Here's a snapshot of some Johnny alumni who've made a profound difference in this world this past year. Let's begin with athletics. In 2020, 6 Johnnies ended up in the pros. One, Ben Barch, plays in the NFL for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Another, Joe Stock, signed with the Boston Red Sox. In the world of government, 2 Johnnies have ascended to positions of national leadership. Dennis McDonough is serving as Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and Zach Verton is the Senior Advisor to the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. 2 great examples of Johnnies who are public servants. Edwin Torres, class of 16, is serving as COVID-19 Vaccine Outreach Director for the state of Minnesota, helping connect Minnesotans with potentially life-saving shots. It's a role Torres was personally approached to take on by the governor. In the military, General Paul Nakasone, this year's commencement speaker, is not only the director of National Security Agency, but also the commander of U.S. cybersecurity. A great example of a Johnny protecting all. And lastly, we have a Johnny in space. Mark Vanderhei is currently orbiting the Earth aboard the International Space Station. He's an explorer reaching for the stars. These Johnnies are all great men, and there are thousands more like them. Speaking of extraordinary men, we've now reached a point in our program that you've all been waiting for. The presentation of the President's Citation and Medal to our distinguished guest, Dr. Axel Theimer. If you'll bear with me, I'm going to do some space travel of my own to join Axel in another room for the presentation of this much-deserved award.
During my time as president, I've observed that St. John's has been home to many legends, individuals such as Father Virgil Michael, Father Coleman Berry, Brother Dietrich Reinhardt, John Gallardi, and Jim Smith. I like to refer to these giants as builders. Axel, you are one of those legendary builders. And tonight, we honor you for your many years of service and accomplishment. Axel Theimer, we honor you for building a tradition of choral excellence that is central to creating a community of alumni from multiple generations who still remain connected to St. John's University and the College of St. Benedict. Among those who have known you, everyone talks of your kindness, your patience, and your ability to get the best out of each individual's talents. You are truly the John Gallardi of the music department at St. John's. You've been a jack of all trades at St. John's, organizing tours, arranging venues, teaching, instructing choirs, and making St. John's universally respected musically. You have played a key role in building the combined music departments into what they are today. You established events like Christmas at St. John's and created traditions that are now standards and that wouldn't have happened if not for you. You've been recognized for your brilliance nationally and internationally, but nowhere more so than right here in Collegeville. Your impressive list of musical involvements include co-founder and musical director of the National Catholic Youth Choir, faculty member and executive director of the Voice Care Network, and founder and artistic director of the Amadeus Chamber Symphony, a chamber orchestra for central Minnesota musicians. The list also includes your role as founder and artistic director of a Cantorai, a Twin Cities-based vocal ensemble started 33 years ago as the St. John's and St. Benedict alumni choir to give graduates the opportunity to continue making music together. It has grown into one of the premier vocal ensembles in Minnesota. Through their connection to you, alums have remained connected with St. John's and St. Ben's. They're part of a robust musical community that spans generations. Your involvement and passion have been instrumental in all of this. With gratitude for your humble devotion to the St. John's community, we celebrate you and present you, Axel Theimer, with the St. John's University Presidential Citation and Medal on this 30th day of April, 2021. Congratulations, Axel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, President McAllister. Thank you, Father John, Board of Trustees of St. John's, and all of you who were instrumental in making me the recipient of this presidential citation and medal. I'm honored, humbled, and excited, considering all the incredible peers and alums who are part of this community, who all can be considered builders in their own way. I usually don't write much down and just like to speak just freely, whatever comes to mind. But I thought today, in order to keep things a little bit under control, I have written things down. And if you don't mind, I will read it to you, especially after watching the video again that all the alums put together. Um, I always get teary-eyed and so moved by what they have done. And anyway, all those words that I'm going to say now are really to all of you who have made a lot of these things possible. When I arrived at St. John's in August of 1969, who would have thought that I would still be teaching here at St. John's and at St. Ben's 52 years later? And not just that, but that I still would enjoy it as much as I did then, maybe even more than I did in those early years. I will not try to list all the important and most memorable events I was fortunate to experience and be part of. It would possibly take a little too long, as some of you with whom we've shared stories in the past can attest. But I wish I could thank all the people, former and present colleagues on and off campus, both monastic and lay, and especially all the alums who made it possible for me to continue to be here at St. John's and St. Ben's for all these years. I remember the wonderful and not expected typical Austrian Christmas the first year I was here at the home of fellow Austrian and incredible teacher Ottmar and Ingrid Trekonia. The support of Father Gunter and then Dean Jack Lang, Joe and Jill Ferry, who took real chances by supporting me at a time when I was hardly older than the seniors in my choir. All the alums from all these years, but again, the ones in the earlier years who possibly did not always understand what I was saying as I learned to translate from German into English and found out, for example, that moonshine and moonlight, when referring to Beethoven's wonderful sonata, does not necessarily mean the same thing. But they all wanted me to succeed. So many wonderful mentors who challenged me and still do concerning what it means to be human, to live in the moment, to not always wish for something that you have not had the chance to explore and learn yet. Like a skill you wished you had already. And instead of wishing it, which I would consider is a waste of time, to actually do something that allows your brain to be challenged and get engaged, to accept at any time the level of ignorance we are presently on. Ignorance not being anything negative, just admitting that I do not know everything, which makes the brain want to learn more, because that is what makes brains feel good. And we always want to get more of the things our brains like they want more of. So that maybe move from one level of ignorance to the next, since as far as I know, nobody knows everything, even though I'm sure we have met people who think they do and act that way. Actually, I am quite sure I was one of those when I arrived here in 1969. I arrived as a teacher. I leave as a learner. So many of you have taught me so much by simply accepting me as I was then and as I am now. And for that, I will always be incredibly grateful and thankful. Without that lesson learned, I most likely would have burned out years ago trying to be something that I was not yet ready to allow myself to be. And so life continues. So many lessons yet to be learned, so many levels of ignorance to be explored. I'm looking forward to remaining engaged and be given the opportunities to recognize and accept my levels of ignorance and possibly give my brain additional food for thought and food for joy. I have said it many times before. Music has been and is my drug of choice. And I'm always willing and available to share it. So many of you have made it possible for me to share and have shared. And for that, I will always be thankful. And I hope we continue to share this drug for many more years to come whenever we have the opportunity to do so. Again, thank you all for having honored me in this way and having given me the opportunity to be where I am today. And without your help, it would not have been possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Axel. And thanks for allowing all of us to learn from you. And hope this evening you're able to enjoy some beautiful moonlight. Good evening. My name is Rob Culligan. I'm Vice President for Institutional Advancement at St. John's. And it's a delight to be with you, all of you tonight. One of the hardest things about this past year has been our inability to gather in person with the Johnny faithful, alums, parents, and friends who care so deeply about St. John's. Fortunately, better days are at our doorstep, and even brighter ones are on the horizon. If you've been to St. John's Day before, you know that a primary reason for this gathering is to express our appreciation to you, our great volunteers and benefactors. Let me begin by acknowledging the scores of volunteers who dedicate their time and talent to the St. John's community. St. John's is fortunate to benefit from the steadfast service of several governing boards. I want to thank members of the Board of Trustees for their tireless service. Being a trustee at any time is a demanding task, but over the last few years, it has been even more so, given the important work to further integrate St. John's and St. Ben's. For many of the trustees, this has become a full-time job. Please know St. John's owes you a tremendous debt of gratitude. In addition, I am grateful to recognize similarly dedicated members of the Board of Regents for the School of Theology and Seminary, as well as the Board of Overseers of the Hill Museum and Manuscript Library. Next, I would like to thank our advancement volunteers, those who help us strategize, make the case, and help garner the resources we need to prosper. Thank you to the St. John's Leadership Council, the St. John's Legacy Team, and the St. John's Parents Council. What would St. John's be without the dedication and support of our alumni? We are extremely grateful to the Alumni Board, our reunion and class volunteers, our chapter leaders, and our athletic boosters, the J Club. Lastly, I wish to recognize those who serve on advisory councils for some of our academic and educational programs, including the Donald McNeely Center for Entrepreneurship, the Eugene McCarthy Center for Public Policy and Civic Engagement, and the Outdoor University. St. John's continues to experience strong philanthropic support, and this is a testament to all of you. Each year, thousands of individuals and organizations make donations to St. John's, and we are very grateful to each and every one of you for your generous support. As President McAllister indicated earlier, it has been a remarkably strong fundraising year for St. John's. We count our blessings. We are deeply blessed by the generosity of so many. When times got tough at this time last year, we issued a plea for help, and the response was truly amazing. This past fiscal year, was our best fundraising year ever. Many different priorities received support, but the biggest winner was student scholarships. As it was mentioned earlier, 4 donors stepped forward to donate nearly $4 million for the Imperative Scholarship Fund to address student hardship caused by the pandemic. And when we were running behind in our student fund, 2 alumni, Jim and Bernie Toohey, issued a generous challenge which enabled us to reach our goal. We had a banner year for support to endowed scholarship funds. This carried over to our current year with a very generous scholarship gift that we announced in the latest issue of the St. John's Magazine from Dick and Sandy Pope. This outpouring of support for student scholarships has been a true shot in the arm for our students. They're triple vaccinated. The success of our fundraising efforts year in and year out is a result of our extraordinarily loyal, generous, and committed alumni, parents, faculty, staff, students, and friends. Tonight, we come together as we do each year to recognize and applaud your generosity. We are extremely proud to honor those who make annual, planned, and lifetime gifts to St. John's Abbey and University, including the College of Arts and Sciences, the School of Theology and Seminary, the Hill Museum and Manuscript Library, and the St. John's Pottery. The university has special giving societies for each of these types of giving. And each year we make a point of recognizing those who belong to 1, 2, and in some cases, all 3 of these giving societies. I wish to begin by thanking our fellows, those who have made a gift of $1,000 or more this past year to St. John's. This support directed to the student fund is critically important to our students, and it helps set the pace for all other giving. This past year, more than 800 fellows made donations to St. John's. On behalf of the entire St. John's community, I would like to thank the special group of donors who provide bedrock support for our students. 20 years ago, we launched the Benedictine Legacy Society. Legacy members have made planned and deferred gifts to St. John's Abbey or University. Making a planned gift is an ideal way to perpetuate your legacy, while at the same time providing much needed support to our students, our faculty, and our educational mission. The Legacy Society consists of more than 400 members and growing. On behalf of the St. John's community, I would like to thank this group of donors whose generous support will benefit St. John's in perpetuity. Lastly, I wish to honor members of our Founders Society, those who have, through a one-time gift or years of sustained giving, contributed more than $50,000 to St. John's during their lifetime. To date, more than 750 individuals, foundations, corporations have become members of our Founders Society. On behalf of the entire St. John's community, I would like to once again thank the special group of donors for their leadership giving. When people ask me, what do we do in institutional advancement? I have a very short and simple answer. We make dreams come true. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you to realize your philanthropic goals and objectives. And thank you for helping us fulfill the dreams and aspirations of our students, our faculty, and other members of this remarkable community known as St. John's. Thank you, God bless, and go Johnnies.
I would like to add my personal thanks to the legions of St. John's, volunteers, and thousands of benefactors. You make us strong and proud, and your support enables us to fulfill our educational mission. With your help, we're able to send remarkable Johnnies into the world and into space. Speaking of sending great students into the world, One of the high points of St. John's Day is always our student speakers. This year, we have the pleasure to hear from two students. Ryan Graham, a senior computer science and communication major from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Nancy Weldon, a graduate student in the School of Theology and Seminary pursuing a Master of Divinity degree.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ryan Graham, and I'm a current senior here and first up scholar from Milwaukee. I will be graduating in about 2 weeks, 16 days, nobody's counting, with a degree in computer science and minors in communication and entrepreneurship. And after graduating, I will be moving to Minneapolis to begin a job as a software architect at Accenture. That's just basically a really fancy way of saying tech consultant. 4 years ago, I was deciding between 10 schools, and believe it or not, but St. John's was number 10 at the time. And it wasn't until I came here for flying on campus that I was really able to see that this was the university that I belonged in. I came into a community that valued me as much as I valued having a community. I got involved with eScholars and I created a patent pending product. I studied abroad in Spain. I traveled and did pitch competitions in China and Phoenix, and I joined a ton of clubs. And what I got out of these experiences has transformed me into a better leader, learner, and doer. Coming from inner city Milwaukee as a first generation college student, I feared not being able to get the most out of my college experience due to my limited finances. And 4 years later, I've never identified more with the statement, Johnny's help Johnny's, and Benny's too. So I want to extend a warm thank you to all of the generous donors that we have here today. It's because of your contributions that I and so many other students just like me have had the chance to fully focus on and embrace the best 4 years of our lives. Your generosity inspires me to continue to give back. And I can't wait until I'm able to be in a position to pay it forward and contribute to the legacy of St. John's University. So again, thank you guys so much, and God bless.
Thank you, Ryan. My name is Nancy Weldon, and it's a pleasure to be with you tonight to offer heartfelt thanks on behalf of the students at the Graduate School of Theology and Seminary. I'm a candidate for the Master of Divinity degree and served as Student Government Secretary Treasurer this year. Although it's been an unusual year, as everyone knows, with distance learning and virtual meetings, I'm proud to tell you that student government worked hard to foster a sense of community among students. We hosted Friday night happy hours and students zoomed in from several different time zones. We organized a virtual clue room experience. We hosted several movie nights and got folks together for a masked winter walk in the woods here at the Arboretum. So the pandemic may have caused physical distancing, but I'm happy to tell you that we did not let the pandemic create social distancing, and we feel really good about that. So thank you. Thank you for your support of the graduate school so we could be a place of community for students across the country and on campus. As I said before, I'm an MDiv student in my final semester, which is remarkable to say because I started the program in the fall of 2012. I began with the goal of becoming a hospice chaplain, and I've taken 1 or 2 classes every semester to keep a balance with work and family life. To give you some perspective, my youngest daughter started kindergarten that same fall, and now we're the same height and she's borrowing my shoes. My oldest daughter started 6th grade that fall, and now she's a first-year student at St. Ben's, my alma mater. So needless to say, my girls have grown up with a mom in graduate school, which means that they've endured a lot of theological talk around the dinner table. I admit there are times when they roll their eyes when I say something like, Well, do you want to hear what Father Dale has to say about prudence and putting right decision in action? And when I started graduate school, I knew that it would inform my work as a chaplain, but I didn't anticipate that the classroom would spill over to my dinner table. So thank you. Thank you for supporting me through my years of graduate school. You helped enrich both my professional life and my family's life of faith. Graduate studies provided another unexpected benefit. Because I took the slow route through the program, 8 years, I crossed paths with so many disciples of Christ. When I think about the women and men that I rubbed shoulders with, I'm overwhelmed by the richness of their lives and stories. I wish you could meet each one of them tonight. You would also be inspired by their ministry and their decision to follow God's call. My friends and classmates have gone on to work in parishes, as chaplains, liturgists, educators, as religious and ordained ministers, as spiritual directors, and advocates for social justice. I also had the privilege of learning with students from around the world, each of us gaining a wider perspective about what it means to be part of the global church. And as we graduate and move to positions of ministry around the globe, we continue to build up the Christian community, the body of Christ. So the next time you're on campus, I invite you to stop by the graduate school and look for a map near the classrooms that shows where our graduates are living and working. I know it will fill you with hope to see where the Spirit of God is alive and active in the world. And you, our donors, are to thank for this Spirit-filled work. Thank you for choosing to support St. John's Graduate School of Theology and Seminary. You are making it possible for students to learn and be formed at St. John's. You are making it possible for disciples to share the message of God's love in the ministry, teaching, death, and resurrection of Jesus. On behalf of my fellow students, my family, and me, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan and Nancy. I'm deeply impressed by both of you and your many accomplishments at St. John's. This is precisely why the world needs St. John's. And there's no doubt in my mind that you will go far. Well, it's been a wonderful evening, and thank you again for joining us. We end this evening's program with a final word from Axel. The next video, Axel Theimer, A Gift for Music, is a clarion call to perpetuate the rich legacy of music at St. John's and St. Ben's. As Axel points out, what would the world be without music? Good night, and God bless.
I've never seen myself as being quote unquote in a teaching position, but always being more in a sharing position, that I have something that I enjoy doing, and give everybody the opportunity to find out what it is I am doing, and invite them, instead of telling them what to do, invite them to figure out for themselves, with guidance and with suggestions, how things work. What is a choir director without a choir? Without them, it would not have been possible. I always think back to my first years here, when the seniors in the choir were just about the same age as I was, and how incredibly supportive they were from the very beginning on. I had the feeling they really wanted me to succeed and wanted to continue what they had experienced in the past. So I don't look at concerts as being performances, but really an opportunity to just say, we are here because we enjoy what we are doing. To the audiences, I usually say, we don't perform, we sing because we like it. If you are here, we hope you like it too, and if you don't like it, there's nothing I can do about it, and we're not going to try to convince you that you should be liking it. And I think this influences, therefore, that wherever we have performed, it's always been a great experience, because every place is different, every audience is different, and therefore every reaction is very different. If that's what I have been able to contribute, that everybody really appreciates their memories and enjoys their memories, and maintains a sense of connection to these communities here, then I hope that is the main legacy. What I was able to create for them and with them through music and music making, that this binds us together and binds us to these places just as long as we are around. My goal with establishing the endowment was to make merit-based scholarship money available to students who plan to spend a life in teaching and teaching music and teaching choral and vocal music. And if I can make the financial burden and the financial challenges a little bit easier, that I think was the main goal. What would the world be without music? And whatever we can contribute to make the education more affordable to any of the future musicians, I think that's a worthwhile goal, and I hope that the endowment will flourish and will be able to support the students in a way that makes them look at our schools a little bit closer again, because they know it's valued here